Evening. Welcome to a very special Monday Live. We're joined by European and DP World Tour winner Todd Clements for tonight. So any questions you've got that actually relate to tour life, Todd's game, Todd's clubs, we'll run through those. Anything you want Todd to answer within reason?
I'm
fire
happy to fire all questions.
Keep it clean.
Yeah.
Keep it clean. But watched the golf last night?
I actually didn't. It was Mother's Day, so it was my family attendance there. Yeah. So, but from kind of highlights I've seen last night, it was a good watch.
I thought the course was playing the way I'd like to see it play, like firm and fast, and actually the premium being on putting it in play. So seeing Ludwig get out of position on 10 and barely struggle to hold the green, I thought that's how I liked seeing that course play. But I didn't expect his scoring to tumble. But yeah, it's that kind of course. Yeah,
well, 40 on the back nine from Ludwig. I didn't expect that either from what the highlights I saw, and I think the course played the best way it does play. Like you get punished for shots when you're out of position, and I think like from the guys, it's such a tee shot course that if you're out of position, it's a long day.
It's quite nice seeing the scores being around that kind of 16 under kind of winning rather than being 20, 25. I know that you've got to have those courses on tour, but actually a course that it didn't really put the advantage into the hands of the bombers. Actually, I mean, I know obviously they all. I mean, well, Cam's drive on the last.
Yeah, it was pretty special, wasn't it?
Oh, and that's. That, I mean, what do you do after that?
Well, we quoted him. We had the best shot of my life, and I think he did there.
But I think that's a really special tournament because of the variety of players that have won, styles of player. There's no kind of cookie cutter to the kind of golfer that wins there, other than just the guy playing the best that week. So,
No, definitely. I think it spread even. It was just the best golfer, not if you're the bomber, if you're the greens are like Augusta, they're fast, slow pieces, putting such a premium.
Yeah.
Like I think it just evened everyone out, which was as a viewer, I think it's great.
So because you're good mates with Jordan Smith.
Yeah.
So have you spoken to him about his cufflinks?
Yeah, he got the first appearance. No, he said the course on Thursday was tough in the wind. He said it just got the better of him. Out of position again, and it's especially new to it. He's found it really tough.
Because I guess that's the thing for someone like Jordan or Marco over their first time. Tell us what you found in terms of with where you go to courses regularly on DP World Tour or US Tour. Actually, that kind of change and having all those 100 other players who've been there year in year out for a few years and you're new to it. How much learning does that take of those courses?
Yeah, that is a big part of it. Like I think that's where most of the players go over there, and that's one thing they've got to really adapt to because you just know like the nuances of courses. Everyone, I'm sure at their home clubs and stuff, you're like, this part actually breaks to the right. It won't look it, but it breaks right. And those things you just learn. And that's, one shot here or one shot there, like can make such a big difference. And I think like that's the hardest thing that they adapt to.
Yeah, especially something like that course where it is, it's always there.
Been there for centuries, well, literally decades. So, the iconic 17, they all say that it's way harder with the wedge in the hand in tournament play than it is across practice, just because it's just the iconic hole.
Surrounded by grass, no one's ever missing it.
It's incredible, really.
I did like the ball that just toppled onto the plank.
Yeah.
The toe down wedge.
Brave to hit that. I didn't think he would be, but braver than me.
Yeah. So thanks for all the questions that are coming in. We'll get started on a mixture of equipment stuff and then questions for Todd, and then we'll have a little shifty through Todd's bag as well. So you old school with your equipment? Or
quite old school. Yeah. I wouldn't say I'm the biggest change man, and I would say I always veer on the side of safety with like spin, launch, and just try to stay on that side just because it gives me a bit more margin of error.
Yeah, cool. Right. First question in Brandon Law. These are going to be a few kind of clubs and shaft ones as well. What's the closest hybrid shaft to the Diamana Blue board, Ventus Blue, 1K Blue? You've given three of us there. Closest shaft to the hybrid shaft to the Diamana Blue, so it's even profile. Interesting enough, you might find the Fuji Pro is the most similar. The Pro, it's only a blue in the Fuji Pro series, but those ones are similar, even profile, even balance, and going to feel pretty smooth. So I would go with those. Ventus Blue, there is a Ventus Blue hybrid, so that would match to that. But the Tensei or the Diamana Blue, I think Fuji Pro Blue is your best bet for that. God, look at this name. God of Golf, 888. It's a good job it's not 666. Hi guys, I have a Ventus Red hybrid for my 26-degree hybrid, playing around 38.5, 39 inches. Saw online that I'm meant to tip it. Will that change the shaft? So the Ventuses and the wood shafts you don't want to tip because it actually takes the Velocore out. So a lot of the tour builds, the standard an inch tip, but you're actually taking the best bits out.
Yeah.
Now hybrid shafts do tend to be tipped a little bit, and actually I think in the Ventus range it doesn't have a negative impact on them. But if it's in a 26 hybrid, you're probably looking at, in principle, tipping it about an inch or so. The principle being the head gets heavier. As the head gets heavier, the shaft plays softer, so tipping it firms it back up again. So that's the principle behind it. So on the hybrid shaft, yes, tip it, and then it maintains the performance profile. What's your favourite club of the bag at the moment?
Probably, that's a good question. I would go, I've done a lot of work on my driver, GT2, but also, and Todd explained me that, but I really like my QI4D 5-wood. It's been just a great addition. I feel comfortable with it. Been kind of playing around with 5-wood, 6-wood, 7-woods, and seem to have found a nice one. So delighted with that. Because
I found fairways that I'm testing now are lower spin than anything I've ever played with. So I've always been in the low spin while I play Paradigm Triple Diamond. But of the current range, I reckon I'd be in a forward for a lot of them now. Yeah,
I think a lot of people are in forwards now. I think the optimising lit distance and kind of where the game's gone, most people are lofting up. Than ever, when wasn't that long ago that we were all trying to loft down.
I've seen some of them almost like 2,500 revs.
Yeah,
and I've never struggled to spin a fairway with. Yeah. So the 5-wood's in the bag more often this year than it will be.
Yeah, no, I'm 5-wood definitely. I've added a bit of loft to it. I've got a bit of hot melt right in the bottom at the back just to get launch and spin, and it's been great.
So those are the things that they do for those guys. So like I know, for example, with Titleist drivers, they have they map how much weight they put where within the heads in the tour department, so that they can replicate exactly the bias that they have, essentially, which is not something that we would want to do here, because if we get hot melt on the face and ruin it, it costs us to replace it. Whereas for the tour guys, they just grab another one off the rack. But it's that exact. It's 4 grams in the toe, 5 grams at the back, 1 gram in the heel, 2 grams in the front. So they've got positions they put them in that they can replicate. So and it helps kind of get between the models a little bit. Yeah, and
also weirdly gets rid of shot patterns. But you just, instead of moving the weight on the head, you're moving weight in the crown, or it can just change. If you don't want to see it left, move a bit of weight in the right.
Sure, you guys are good enough.
No, there's plenty of players that do it.
No, well, that's what the tools are there for.
Tendencies,
So Moto D621, hi guys, I got fit for a Kylie Darkwave Blue 60S driver shaft and the new Optim LS, the Cobra. What's the premium shaft that has a similar weight profile and balance point? Thanks, lovely videos. The Darkwave 60S premium shaft with that. I think if I go into Mitsubishi's ones, in principle, Darkwave, any blue profiles mid-launch, mid-spin. So you could go into blue board would be fairly similar if you want a smoother feel. Tensei Pro Blue 60 is actually a little bit lighter. So actually the Diamana blue board would play a little bit tighter in feel, but would give you those premium materials you'd be looking for versus that. Right, can we get a what's in the bag this is from Plano Swings, as well as stock yardages, please?
Yeah, of course we can. Yeah, of course we can. All right, so we're...
Let's get the old spanners
I'll get them all out. Yeah. Here you are. So you can show the viewers. I'll let you go through it. There's a few old school bits in there, but yeah, go for it.
There's a head cover you won't get unless you're a tour player there.
This is my putter, and show them all. I've got no issue.
All right, so...
I'll show them all, and because my irons, I play 6 to 9 in the 100s. And then I have the new SM11s.
What have you, so SM11 to SM10?
Yeah.
Because CG is meant to be, is more consistent, where they were measuring it from is now the leading edge roll on the bottom edge. So what have you seen with those from a flighting point of view, performance point? What have you noticed with those that has been sort of standout from a performance point of view?
I think they've done really well to for me to weirdly mimic the SM10, because I thought it was a great wedge. But we kind of seen more with the grooves and the new groove pattern they've put into it. I've seen much better dispersion out the rough.
Right. Okay.
So we're getting much less flyers, much more control, which has been a real bonus to us. I think from the fairway, weirdly, I've kind of seen a really similar profile to the SM10, and I put them straight into play just because the benefit we're getting out of the rough. And I think, I've really felt they've been a great addition.
Because I know that in the past with certain brands, like Callaway, we've had certain grooves for US Tour versus European Tour, where in the US, they want them to fly and to come out a little bit hotter out the rough, whereas over in Europe, we wanted more spin. Is that something where some players actually preferred them jumping it a little bit?
Yeah, I think it's how you kind of learn the game, but obviously being here in the UK, I say the greens definitely in the Europe and in this part of the continent, the greens are generally a bit smaller, can kind of have smaller sections that we're hitting to, whereas the US, they've got big greens and generally play it's a bit softer. So they can get that, the flyer can obviously still take control. Whereas, over here, I just like the control out the rough, knowing that it's not getting away from me.
Yeah. And what grinds do you play?
So I play
Loft
I'll show the camera. I have a special proto in the Wedge works.
Look at that beauty. So what have you got that? What did you want with this that you couldn't get from the standard grind?
So basically, I with my coach James, we really worked on where I feel most comfortable with the way the club looks in certain positions, and then we kind of measured out, like we got it so I get heel relief, toe relief, so the shots that I would want, and then obviously I still like a square leading edge.
Right.
So they basically just measured out on the back on the grind the angles of where I wanted it, and just built that for me. So
it kind of looks like a combo between like an M grind back edge, but it's the narrower sole.
Yeah, it's got like it kind of like they explained it to me is like an M grind, a T grind in the toe, and like a K star. I think they've got now in the heel basically.
Got it. Yeah, and the K stars when it's got a cambered sole bit in the heel, it's a softer graduation. So
And then so I've got a 54 S 10 degrees, or 50 in 12 degrees of bounce, and then I play the F in the wedge, and the 46 I should call it, and the 50 and the S in the set. Well, my 55.
That versus the set pitch wedge to take out the flyers, just a little more spin control.
Yeah, just I've kind of always liked having the wedge. I just find it weirdly it suits my eye a little bit better. So that's kind of, and it just the gapping side of things, it was just really good. Yeah,
and shaft wise in those.
I've got this is a good. I actually use an S Tour 120S in my lob wedge.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I don't hit many full lob wedges, and I like the feel. I like it kind of definitely plays a balance point. I don't know if that's quite true. Definitely feels like it comes up the shaft.
A little bit over the dead weight's down a little bit from the X's.
So I use an S in the lob wedge, and then I use a 120 X in the rest. And
those track through, if I remember right, they track through the irons as well.
Yeah, I use the 120X the whole way through.
Yeah, I mean, look, motor shafts have been incredibly good for tolerance, for one, and consistency, the stiffer tip design, just real tight feel through impact, and then softer handle, so a bit of feel. So, but not overly heavy. The X's are 118. So they're not a kind of an overly heavy shaft. That actually might surprise some of the viewers that you're not in like a Project 6065. Actually, relatively moderate weight.
And I think like obviously goes with my profile. Like I really like it stiff down the bottom, like just the stability through the hitting area. And then it gives me the feel and the response, like you said, up the top end. I don't have to be really pulling on the grip to get the shaft to work for me.
And then we'll go top end. You've got GT2 9 degree with a canny little bit of lead tape there on the bottom. Shaft setting D4 on the hosel, and then the TR Blue 6X, the first gen in this. So length and swing weight, for those that will want to know, length is 45 inches, and
should be around
swing weight is D3.1.
There you go. This is my 3-wood. It's the QI 4D, 15 degrees. I play.
You got the bonded one.
Yeah, so I play the bonded 3-wood, like kind of a bit old school, really.
Is that just preferring the visuals without the adjustability?
Feel actually.
Okay.
Yeah, just I really like the way it kind of feels and the kind of consistency it gives me. And I don't know. I always played I'd say like a, what do you call it? Not changeable.
Bonded.
Bonded. I've always played that growing up, and TaylorMade do a wonderful job.
They've always done the tour one for that.
Yeah, and then you can show the viewers still the Ventus Blue TR.
So we've got that little bit of
gen.
fluting on the underside of the hosel there, saving a little bit of weight. And TR Blue 7X in the fairway. Swing should pretty standard. And then I play the 5D in the
the 4D, QI 4D in the similar profile.
Yeah, see
It's bonded,
2.7 in the fairway. Yeah.
bonded 8X Ventus Blue. Yeah, I've really gotten well with the shaft, and
it's something we see the tour players do a lot. There are very few amateurs we do this for, but a lot of the tour players will go up a notch into the 5-wood from a shaft weight point of view. So where in iron shafts they got like 1 to 2 grams per club. For a lot of amateurs, we'll match shaft between the fairways, but for the tour guys, the stronger players, is some of that just having a little bit more mass to hit against, feel a bit more iron-like?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think you obviously also want it. I think the heavier shaft for just, I would say, feel and like your launch kind of window. If it gets too light, it can, then you're trying to, like you say, the head can be too heavy and be too soft at the bottom. So yeah, I think majority of guys go, and then obviously into the hybrids they go really strong to make it feel like an iron.
Yeah, they play the kind of 90, 100 grams.
Yeah, they play. I see a lot of guys play the 10X in hybrid, which is
a lot of hybrid shaft.
yeah, there's a lot going on there.
Too much shaft for me.
And then I've got a bit of a mixed bag regarding my top end. I have I'm going to try to show them the 254 iron.
So the tour guys have that on the toe end, which is to allow to get just a little bit of weight, whereas our production ones don't have that. Good heads those though.
Yeah, it's been really good. Because I play 5-wood, I actually would play the 154 iron. It just does. For me, I just always need that little bit more yardage. So that really provides that gap, and actually it's been really good in terms of feel and like the response I get back from it. I can still hit a lot of the shots.
Launch angle's good out of it as well.
Yeah, and like with like kind of stats and stuff in the sport, like you don't really gain that much with a 4 iron. Getting it on the green's a good shot. So it's more about the numbers, that gap that I'm trying to do.
So actually, good question for, I think a lot of amateurs think the pros are flag hunting the whole time wherever they are on the course, but actually from what club down is it kind of green light go, okay, depending on the pin obviously, but if it's not a ridiculous pin,
probably
when you flag
8
hunting.
or 9 iron, depending on like most players, I would say. Like 9 iron's probably definite, like 8 would be a question mark in terms of...
Most of us would be like 6 iron.
Yeah, no.
That's why we don't score so well.
So, like, obviously like you look at like Scotty Scheffler, who's played unbelievable, but a lot of the time, you average with a 6 iron, which would be about 200, 190, is 25, 30 feet. So that would be a good shot. And you think like that's close to the middle of the green on everyone. Yeah,
and there was one on the 8th. I noticed last night they're saying the average proximity to the pin, granted it was playing 240, was 47 feet, 16 yards. Which is a lot.
Yeah, and they're the best players in the world.
So I think with Scheffler, if it's, because he's more left-right biased, if there's a pin on the right of the green, then he'll generally kind of play at the middle to bring it in. But if it's on the left, he won't go for it.
Yeah. And
almost regiment.
But and I mean, he's done okay. And then I have a Titleist 5 iron 150, which has been really newly introduced. Again, the 120X shaft. I feel like this has been a really good addition, like really similar sole, because I play the T100s across 6 to 9 iron. But the 5 iron's been a great addition in terms of like the same similar turf interaction and just getting that bit more launch off the 5 iron.
Was that for a bit of ball speed as well?
Yeah.
Just to kind of the
weirdly,
4 irons out
the
there
miss
to
hit,
nudge it on?
the 5 iron miss hit, like I don't lose that drop off as much.
Yeah.
And it's still got a nice profile. So yeah, it's been really good. I've been so far enjoyed testing it out.
Cool. So when's the next tournament for you?
I've got a little period now. They've got the tour's got one in Hainan this week and India the week after. But I've decided to take a couple of weeks away from it and have 6 weeks to work on my game.
Is that, how would you normally, like in a normal year, how would you generally structure? Is it, I guess it depends where the tour's going and how many tournaments are in that area, but would you have a kind of a, try to stick to, say, for example, 3 weeks on, 1 week off kind of pattern?
I'm a 3 weeks on, 1 week off. I've just done that. I've done 3 weeks in the Middle East, 1 week off. Obviously before the chaos happened. But
timing works out,
and then we had just had 3 weeks in Africa. So we've got a period now before the European kind of season starts, and then that goes into a 3 week on, 1 week off.
So which will be your first one back after the break?
We have one more in Asia then, which is actually in China, Shanghai, and then we go to Turkey, to Barcelona, and then we're right in it. So week off or 2 weeks off, and then we have Netherlands, Spain, like we've got all going Austria. So it's
They often do quite a lot of, they've instigated a load of the kind of audience participation at like the Dutch Open over the years. Is that something you enjoy? When they get the amateur out on a par 3 to see if they can beat the pros?
Do you know what is really refreshing to see is, like, I think people actually go through what we experience. And it's a lot, it's amazing what you see when people go through it. You probably forget that it's actually quite hard.
Having several thousand pairs of eyes on it, yeah. It's bad enough on the first tee when they're a 10.
Yeah.
So that's the bag done. Oh, stock yardages. What would be?
So my driver, I'm about generally about 174 ball speed. So I'm about 290 carry. Like I always favour on like 2.6, 2.7 spin, which would be quite high really for a driver nowadays. But I just think like if my miss is a toe hit generally, so then I play on the safe side. So that'd be about 290. My 3-wood's 270, 5-wood's 250 to 255. My 4-iron's 229, 5-iron 217, 6-iron's 200, just over 202. My 7-iron's 189, 8-iron's 176.
So it's like your times table
yeah,
at school.
It literally is. My 9-iron's 165, or 64, sorry, and then my wedge is about 149, going into 50 at 137, and then 36, and then I don't really ever hit the full wedge shots, but 120 for my gap.
And will you play around with your yardages? Because there was, when I know someone was at an event when Stenson's caddy Gareth, Gareth Lord was saying that even at his peak, he had 14-yard gap and he never hit a half shot. He was either 7 yards long or 7 yards short, but figured that wasn't that bad.
Yeah. Adam Scott, funny enough, when I met him in Korea, did the exact same. He's like, I'll just hit, if my 7-iron's 190 and it's a 196 shot, I'll just hit it harder. And accept being 5 yards short, which is never going to hurt you, or 5 past, they play.
I think that's the thing we kind of agonise over, is it this club or that club? And actually, you guys are looking right, which side is the better miss? And then play for that. And if you're playing long and you don't quite catch it, you're close.
You're close, exactly.
If you flush a shorter one, you're close.
You know, that becomes pin dependent and stuff like that,
Sounds so shit. I mean, I've having heard this a few years back, I still find myself fiddling around with the little 6 or a big 7 or hook one on.
Fade it,
Daft, really, isn't it?
Yeah, we all do it. We all get the same trap, don't worry.
Stephen Ford 89, hi guys, my miss from the driver is an overdraw left. Driver's a 440 LST with a Denali Red 660 shaft. Can you recommend a shaft that might help stop missing so far left? Ultimately, the head's not a drawbars head. And you can always put the weight out on the toe to limit a bit of gearing as well. But I can't give you a recommendation on a shaft because I don't know what suits you. So ultimately, the right shaft will do it. If it's too heavy, it could be getting behind and make you fetch it and flip it. If it's too light, it can be overpowering and flipping it left. So there is no this shaft kind of answer without doing dynamic testing. So it's just, well, actually, I wouldn't want it to be as simple as that because otherwise I'll be out of a job. But yeah, sadly, it just depends on what suits you and allows you to stay in control of the club head. And that could be lighter shaft, could be a tip balance shaft, could be a counterbalance shaft. It's just whatever's right for you. So sorry, I can't give a definite answer on that.
Yeah, come and see them. That's the best answer.
We've got about 300 on the wall, so one of them will work, that's for sure. When you test shafts or new product, how much will you do? Because I know some players kind of chop and change quite a bit. It's almost sort of what feels right that week. But for someone who isn't a tinkerer, does it take a time to get something into your bag?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a working period for it to come in terms of it needs to get the numbers correct on the range. And, like for me, a range is a perfect lie, perfect situation. And, there's no margin. You've got lots of margin of error. And then it's like going through the vigorous testing on the course. Like, can I hit the shots that I want to hit? When I tried to hit that shot, what happened? So it goes through quite a vigorous process before it ever meets the Thursday first tee.
Is there at what point do you go, right, I'm ready for that? Or is it say it's just ticked each of the boxes along the way to
I think like when you hit the shot and you're out there, I don't know, I think you just know like, okay, that was it. Like I tried to hit that shot and it gave me what I wanted. And I think in today's technology, I think driver's the easiest to change. Weirdly, I think like irons and there's quite a really bespoke part of it that you need to go through. But driver, I feel more comfortable than ever to just be like, that feels better right now, I'm going to give that a go.
I think now there's so much more of a safety net to drivers now. I think the nuances are finer between, there are differences, but actually, like we often see, you could go between 2 or 3 heads and see similar performance, but one might suit your eye better or suit the field better, or you might be contracted to play one. Or, but yeah, I agree. I think like things like fairway woods, irons, where it's less definite from a difference. There might be a couple of hundred rows of spin difference or a couple of yards difference, but once you've got them in the bag, they kind of become part of you a bit.
Definitely, yeah. Like, you know, with your bag, you kind of, you just...
So it's coming to my old school setup.
Yeah, fantastic, by the way. But yeah, I think, like, again, the driver and technology still, like, blows my mind, because I thought 5 years ago they were finished and but they seem to keep getting better and better. I've seen it with all the brands, the Quantum, the QI4D. I'm sure Titleist are bringing out something very soon, and I think
you're right. They've announced.
Yeah,
mate.
so
you're right.
so like I think they all just keep getting better and better, which is actually astounding. And I can't recommend anyone enough to just keep testing the new product and seeing if you can get any gain, because we all are for sure.
Yeah, and so there are. I think where we're seeing is the misses at the consistency across. So certainly this year, the Titleist in the last couple of years have been great. They've been #1 drivers, but this year the TaylorMade, we're seeing the ball speed retention across the face. Has been, and the spin consistency has been really impressive. A couple of them, like Callaway, the Triple Diamond, once you get up to pushing tour speeds, then it seems to come alive. But whereas below that they get a bit knuckly.
Right.
But even the Triple Diamond, Max as well. Sorry, the Triple Diamond Max is still very low spin until you get high speed.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, the consistency is really. Ping have always been good at it. So
brilliant driver. Yeah.
Just big.
I think it's
do
an acquired.
back-weighted.
I think it's acquired sound, a Ping driver.
I think, certainly have been. I think this year's, it's a bit like the Callaway. This is a very different note because of the 3 layers on the face. It's a much more solid. It's almost going back to an old school Titleist thwack. But yeah, I think the size of the heads has meant they've really had to focus on the acoustics. And there's a lot of tour feedback in that. For sure, definitely shaped a lot of it.
Yeah, because I remember that G25. It was like in a frying pan.
You could do a shotgun start one. So I will crack through if there are a few questions. There, we'll crack through a few now. So we've got, if I can scroll back to it, Play No Swings. There's a couple. Said, P.S. Can you tell Tom that he was classed in the shaft fitting on Saturday? Look forward to trying out the 7 wood he got for me. We'll pass that on to him tomorrow when he's in. And would you do a 1-week unpaid internship during the summer for the sake of getting work experience after my GCSEs? The difficulty for us, it's something that we'd like to do at some point, but the difficulty for us is we're still such a small team that it's very hard for us to accommodate that kind of, whether it's an internship or work experience, simply because, like, to watch a fitting, you're not going to learn very much. And we take 2 months to train people for fittings. And over a short period, our concern is there's not enough value for the person coming in because we don't have a team big enough to take the time to train someone during that period. Something they're looking at trying to do in the future. But right now, it's a really hard one for us to, one, not affect the level of service that we offer to our customers coming in, but also provide enough value for someone coming in as well. But we are conscious of it, and if we can do it, we will. We are very grateful to have a few people asking us now. So yeah, something we're looking at. Golf Nerd 3, have you noticed any trends when fitting tennis players? Feel like it's easy for them to drop underplane from the forehand movement pattern? Certainly if you're someone who's had like a heavy Western grip and heavy topspin, then there are patterns that are going to develop. I guess sort of swing tendencies, movement tendencies that are going to kick in. You tend to find a very strong hip rotation. So that again is where the club can drop underneath. You see it from, I had a hockey player in earlier on and they just shoved the handle forward and de-loft it. One of the players in my Hewitt team's a GB hockey player and he has to do a lot of golf work off season to get the golf swing back and then ruins his hockey. And it's one of those,
balancing act.
Sam Ward, Ash Jackson, those guys, they have real tendencies. So it's something that you've got to be conscious of when you're fitting someone of the sport they played, but also conscious that that's likely to be something you're going to drop back into. But ultimately, that's a bit of a technique thing to actually doing a lot of drills and doing a lot of practice to try and undo some of that tennis
Question
work.
for you there. Have you seen like...
I nearly got right in.
Yeah. Have you seen a lot of benefit of like shafts and weight of clubs and have a real impact on technique. Have you seen so
it's. I mean, ultimately, it's the club and the player have to sync up. So reason you're in a 118 gram shaft, but other guys are in a 130 gram shaft is for you. You can keep that club and you working and stay balanced. So it affects the player's ability to stay balanced in posture and therefore keep a simpler move of the club. Which if the club drops underplay and overplaying, if you're having to kind of fetch it or you're having to back off of it, then you're compromising how you naturally move. Right. And ultimately, that's really the key thing. So the weight properties are the first thing that we'll look at, because ultimately that allows you to stay balanced and deliver the head and consistent low point because of the base angle, and then build speed within a balanced move. And then you're using bend profile and feel aspects, head style to dial in flop. But yeah, massively. But there are so many options now that we can really dial in dead weight, balance point, feel, visuals on the club head, and sound, and really start to kind of find launch and spin. So I had a chap in earlier. He was between the T100 and the Ping I240 head, and ultimately just thought the T100 were prettier. And whilst they were a little bit more exacting, actually he's working on his game as, I want the reward of getting it right. Both work really, really well, but it can become a bit of a choice, a kind of preference as well.
For sure, Interesting,
but no, big differences.
No, I can imagine that.
And it's where if you look at someone on tour like Morikawa's gained a load of speed, that might shape the shaft option and the balance point if they're changing how they're developing the speed. You might change that a little bit.
Okay.
If I can get this old body to work a bit quicker, I might drop a bit of weight with the driver shaft. But it's those sort of things. If the way you're building a speed or the movement patterns sequencing's changing a little bit, then the club might need to adjust just to tie into that.
Got you.
Hopefully you're not changing your swing much.
Oh no, we're still trying to make improvements. We're still trying to make improvements.
Is there a current focus at the moment?
I think obviously speed's a big part of the game, so we're still trying to always nudge that up. And you've got, like I say, which is why I asked, because I find that you always got to stay on top with your clubs. Like I've gained a reasonable bit of speed, and it's part of me to test your new iron shafts, because I feel like I'm losing a few left more than I ever have done.
Okay.
So it'd be interesting to dive into that.
Yeah, and sometimes it's actually where if you're creating speed through more of a snap, the club can get a little left behind, and then you've got to flip it to catch up. So a balance point change might be the case, or like for me, I'm below where I want to be, and just now doing a bit of practice trying to move fast. But for me, moving faster means maybe dropping like 4 or 5 grams. But it doesn't need to be necessarily more than that.
Right. Okay.
Because that's you're looking at 5 grams is just under 10% the shaft weight on a driver. 5% in an iron. So it's actually proportionally quite a big change. So the really small things can actually have quite a big knock-on effect. So Pano swings. I'm not a tennis player myself, but I've got friends who play tennis who say the same thing. Spencerwood 9375 saw a tailor-made YouTube video recently. Advice to change wedges every 50 to 75 rounds. I've had mine for way longer. MG3, having just regripped, don't want to change yet, so poured a sharpener. Fresh screw for thoughts. So we wouldn't be able to do it because we'd risk making the grooves illegal. So ultimately they're manufactured to their widest, to the kind of fullest tolerance. And so if you then kind of grind them out and widen them, then technically you're making them illegal. Now, if you have friends who call you out on it, then there's a word for them. But ultimately, that'll refresh them for a short period. But you're probably now starting to lose a little bit of grip and performance, especially the MG3s tended to soften down where they had the raw face. They tended to wear down a little bit faster. Certainly Titleist say 70 rounds. Now, most players can get away with a couple of years or so. Most. If you've got a particular bunker club, that'll wear a bit quicker. Or if you practice somewhere that's got sanded practice ground, then that'll chew through them. Which we don't really get over here very much. You certainly see it on the continental European states quite a bit. So vary which club you practice with, but once you start to see the top edge of the groove rounding off and lose the tread pattern between the grooves, that's when you're going to start to lose a bit of performance. Dry off the fairway, you won't see an awful lot, but out of rough or when it's wet, pretty noticeable drop off.
For sure.
I need to change mine actually.
Yeah.
I think mine
Yeah,
is SM8.
me and you
so
both. Yeah.
Don't practice mine enough though. Gidster, hi, so I wondered if you could please speak to your advocacy of SST Puring and the shafts that you build at Precision Golf. While the logic is sound enough, the wider industry seems divided. Thanks. So the wider industry is divided because there's a little bit of a misrepresentation on what it does. So ultimately, what Puring does is puts the most stable point in the shaft target side. So if steel generally isn't round isn't completely straight, so a bit like a snooker cue, you roll it and the tip flips. And then with composites, you've got lots of layers of material, resins, and there are structural, they're not completely uniform. There are structural, not deficiencies, but there are structural variances within those shafts, and they make thousands a day. So what it does is like balancing a car wheel. It takes the shaft once it's trimmed, and then you find the most stable position, and that most stable position goes target side, so that as it loads and recovers, it recovers back onto that stable position. So hence the balancing a car wheel analogy. It doesn't change the structure of the shaft, but ultimately it means that you're minimizing any offline twisting through impact, which tightens spin dispersion, tightens flight, tightens distance dispersion. It's not a critique on the shafts, it's just an acknowledgement that there are thousands made a day. So will it make a shaft work or not work? No, but will it make it the best it can be? Yes. So that's why we do it for everything we build, because it just takes out anything that the club could be doing. You rarely get a stinker of a shaft anymore. We have had shafts in the past where, I mean, literally, I was building one for Surrey player years back. It was an old Compentee, and you literally couldn't. It literally wouldn't settle on one point. It went back and forth and back and forth. Yeah, ultimately, it just makes them as good as they can be.
Yeah.
So yeah. Alistair Cuthbertson, evening gents. Shout out to Todd and the Hammers for doing the Gunners a solid on Saturday night. Oh, he's a Gunners fan.
Yeah. Okay.
This is Jack's dad.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Well, I was delighted with the point. So.
Yeah. Whereabouts?
We're still in the relegation zone.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So it'll be close. It'll be a good, fun running. Whatever may happen.
Some big teams down there. Obviously, Spurs. Fulham are relatively safe at the moment.
Leeds are knocking it around. Yeah, it'll be an interesting finish.
It's been a weird couple of years though.
I think football this year has been really strange.
Yeah.
Every team can beat any team. I've never seen it before like that. So, yeah, be good to watch.
Fingers crossed. Billy Horshall will be supporting.
Yeah.
Crow is 3. G'day, Simon and Todd. Wondering if you'd both run through your pre-shot routines and explain why you do certain things and how it benefits your shot/strategy.
Okay. Yeah. I can do that. Let's give it a go, shall we? Yeah. So, you obviously gone through all your numbers. You've kind of picked your shot. So the big thing is like I'm sure you've seen it many a time on like TV, but like I'm always there checking, the fundamentals I would call them. So like my grip, making sure that my grip's in the right place, and like definitely my left hand because I have a tendency for it to get weak. But I would always like come back behind the ball, and I would pick I call it a intermediate target. So I'm looking for something that's about a foot to 2 foot in front of me around this section for my alignment. So I'm going to just try and hit my like bog standard couple yard fade, but I'll be picking something around here. So then, and from when I walk into the shot, coming from here with my intermediate target, I'll be setting the club face, relative to that. So I'll be aiming my face, getting my stance to come in there. And I'm here over my pre-shot routine. I'm thinking about the shot that I'm about to create. And I then try to have one last view and hit it.
He hasn't had a warm-up swing either, so that's literally his first swing out of the car.
Did he get it?
Must have knocked it.
Okay.
Got it, but let me just make sure. I'm just going to make sure the alignment's right. Because I don't think your path is 5 degrees out to win. So are you visual with how, with what you do in terms of on the course? Are you someone who will picture ball flight? So I kind of like to see like a line in the sky or on the green.
So that's exactly it. I'll be, like you say, I'll be here, I'll be visualising that shot. So I'll be intermediate target. I'll have it against a tree or something like that.
Yeah.
So I'm okay, like there's
That
my
start line.
Yeah, and like I think this is where Trackman's great. It gives you that like that view of, okay, so I'm going to be hitting this little fade, and I'll be into that shot, thinking about it, even like without looking. I'll be like, I can see that white kind of line of shot that I'm about to try and hit. Bit left, that is.
I think we're quite similar, because I would do I'd be really similar thing in terms of I'd be picking out a spot just in front of it. Definitely I tend to see it just drop the other way. So I'd be, depending on where the pin is, picking out whether I wanted to start it, kind of take it at or just a bit right. But same thing, visualize a shot. What else would I do? Not an awful lot. I play with the rib with the line down the back of the the grip, so I kind of get my grip set on that. But I'll tend to do that when once I'm sort of set into the shot, take my grip there, make sure I've picked my spot. The tough bit's when you're at a really good course, because there aren't many spots to pick out. And then ultimately, a couple of looks, and then just pull the trigger. And most of it's trying to just to make sure I'm committing to that line.
That works.
Quick while I'm ahead. I hit shots before he didn't. But yeah, I've always the more I've done this, the more I've recognised I'm very much about seeing a line in the sky, or seeing a line on the green of where I want to start it on, and where the kind of the I guess the main turning point of the putt is.
I think the pre-shot routine really gives someone kind of like the thoughts and the processes of, okay, like I'm ready for the shot, and when you get into the shot, it's about actually getting that you've done your process, you've done your fundamentals. It's okay, I'm going to just go in and do my thing, hit the shot, and be a bit more freedom rather than being over it, thinking about where I'm aiming. Okay, like what swing thought have I got? It's like you can do all that before. Walk into the shot, think about that hit, and go in and hit it.
And you're quite a quick player.
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Who's got the longest pre-shot routine on tour?
I've seen some really strange ones over the years. Felix Maury would be, I can't even do it, but he like flicks the club up like that and catches it 2 or 3 times.
Really?
Yeah. Adrian Tagey takes many practice swings and really thoughtful. I've seen, lots of people be over the ball and, literally there like for 15, 20 seconds like over the ball, which I find hard to do. But everyone has their own unique way of doing it, and there's a few that do take way too long.
So, Alistair Cuthbertson, question for Simon. I had a set of Mizuno Tezoid Pro 2 irons with Pro 2 irons with Dynamical S400 Sensicore shafts in the early 2000s. What was the Sensicore technology? So, Sensicore technology was literally it was a small kind of, what would you call it, kind of pole that went down the centre of the shaft that had like a foam wrapped coil around it that basically dampened vibrations, a vibration dampener. So it was an extra bit that went in the shaft, literally kind of down the centre of the shaft. So you couldn't, for example, put anything through the shaft because it wouldn't go. It got the sensor core in the middle. So it was no different than like the standard S400 shaft, but it just had that sensor core down the middle of every single one. So weighed about 2 grams, I think. I've now lost my spot. Kev T. Todd, who is the best celeb you've played with?
Oh, that's a good question. In regards to the best golfer, like in terms of skill level?
One of each. I think you've now opened up the other half of the question.
Yeah, the other half of the
we
question.
should
Yeah,
ask you
I would
that
say
one.
the best celeb golfer I've played with, actual golfing ability, is Jimmy Bullard.
Yeah, he's good.
I mean, he's really,
he's
really
not
good.
really amateur. He's kind of
he
does videos the whole time.
He could definitely be a pro if he
I think
wanted
he
to
played
be.
Europro one year. I remember he did a year on Europro.
He played a few. Yeah, played a few, didn't he? Yeah, definitely played quite a few. And the best celebrity I've played with, that's Jamie Dornan.
Okay.
So I would say the biggest celebrity is probably the best way. Yeah, probably Jamie. Yeah, Jamie, great guy and loves his golf.
Do you get, or is there anyone you've ever played with in tournament play that you've had an oh my god moment?
Yeah, Rory.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, that was an oh my god moment. Yeah, unbelievable.
Oh, was that the one at
the Irish Open? Royal County Down.
And there as well.
Yeah, it was a special day. Yeah, not that I want to remember much of it, but it was a special. It was a surreal experience.
So what do you I mean, it's just a wall of people.
It was, yeah, 50,000 on one hole. I've never seen anything like it.
50,000 on one hole?
It's got to be close to it. He sold out the gate.
Yeah.
And there was no one else on the course.
Was it just your group?
Yeah, 10, 12 deep aside. It was remarkable.
And so what do you actually, people say, oh, what have you learned from that? But actually kind of that experience, what are you able to take away from that?
A lot. Like, weirdly, it was one of the worst days I played golf for a long time. It was hard. Royal County Down showed its teeth. Playing with Rory in the penultimate group. There was so much going on that day. But one, the resilience, I can get through it. I'm still here. And didn't quit. So, like, there's definitely one. Two, like, inspiring because you watched a generational talent up close. And
was it the Saturday or Sunday?
Yeah, Saturday, yeah.
Okay,
and he was incredible. I learned a lot from him there. Like, it was a tough day. You don't hit a shot unless you're comfortable. He was really managed himself really well. And then, like, kind of, it gave me an opportunity to, like, actually, what could I have done better in that day? And there was a lot. So, like, in terms of, okay, like, I got a bit overwhelmed by the situation. Okay, like, if I want another go because I want to see, like, how I manage it again. You just learn loads of things. Like, and it's true, don't ever meet your heroes. He obviously was mine growing up, but he's just a human. And you kind of get through these barriers, and for the next situation, next time, it will definitely be easier.
And how, like, did you actually see the fairway on the first, or was it must have looked like
you
a
see
narrow sliver of
fairway
green.
and people. That was literally it. And I still remember on the first, all I thought about was making contact.
Yeah.
And
I know that
didn't go
Collins
well.
talked about that at the Ryder Cup, where I think the one at the Belfry where he hit his three with about 310 yards. He said, Dennis Pugh was saying that when he got his stuff out of his pocket beforehand, his hand was shaking. Just getting the ball on the tee.
See, I still remember it, and I was thinking, when you look back, like, just making contact, like, I do this every day.
At least it was the biggest club in the bag. So Papa B, hello young men. Can you please give me your thoughts on custom aftermarket putter shafts and when it makes sense to change weight or flex in a putter shaft? You're the best, thank you very much. Do you fiddle around with
I've done quite a few. I've tried the Diamana whiteboard putter shaft. I've tried is it LA Golf?
Yep.
I've tried the TPT.
Yeah.
I've tried quite a few,
And
look, I think they've got some really great advantages in it. I think they definitely, the feel, the stability, I definitely think I've seen some really positive feedback.
They definitely create someone call it a dulled feel, but definitely a kind of a dampened feel.
Dampening
kind of
feel,
face.
that's a good way of putting it.
I think the one thing that I think with them is that so I swing the putter head, not the handle end. So I putt with a bit of lead lag.
Yeah.
So I need the balance down the bottom end. So I often lose the feel of the putter head. So whilst I like the tech in them, I like the principle. I always like playing something fancy. But actually, it just doesn't swing right for me. Now, some of the latest ones, I think the latest TPT could be better for that. And quite appropriately, the black and red, black and yellow is nature's colours for danger, which would be quite appropriate for me with the putter. I think, I've often felt I've lost the putter head, so like the Stroke Lab Odysseys and things, because I swing the bottom end and so I've always stayed in steel. But ultimately, that timing control is going to be the biggest thing. Flex-wise, it's a feel thing. The softer ones will give you more sensation through the shaft. But the time to change is if you feel you get a benefit from it. If it gains confidence, if it feels better, then then it's worth a go. They're just not particularly cheap because there's a lot of graphite in them. So that is it's an expensive test. John Burton, could someone demonstrate the proper wrist angles for driver at impact? I think I released too early. Oof. It's a tough one, that, because it's going to be different player to player.
What shot are you trying to hit?
So there are some players that have a very kind of like someone like Charlie Hull has a lot of kind of lag and release, and almost kind of a rotation over. You take someone like Dustin Johnson, has a very kind of strong lead into it. So they're a bit like the shaft question. There's no one best option there. Releasing early, yes, you're going to add a little bit of loft through, potentially close the face down, potentially hold the face open, and lose a little bit of energy and efficiency. But realistically, we're probably looking for, won't swing with the head cover, but you don't really want to be, you ideally want to be in a straight line at worst, or a little bit of a lead, not really looking to be adding loft through there. But ultimately the best thing to do is go and see a coach about that, because there are good and bad ways of doing it, but will vary depending on your swing dynamics as to what the right one is for you. But go and see a coach about that, because I'm sure they can do a good bit for you there. Now, let's see, I better speed up with the questions. We've got technically 10 minutes left. I'm sure we'll overrun a little bit. Tony, by the way, hi guys, great show as usual. Thank you very much. Can you please hit, I might get him to do this one. Can you please hit a QI4D 7 and 9 wood in a Ventus Red 7S at 90 miles per hour? Very specific. That's basically
90, yeah.
Because Tony wants to see what might happen if he hits it, because that'll be his speed.
Okay.
Tony says he's a great follower of the channel. Interested in differences in height, spin, and distance between the two. Thanks. Right.
Go on then.
I'll go and grab the bits.
Yeah.
You start reading from Alistair Mack.
Yep, of course. Oh, yeah, good one, that. Any funny superstitions? Yeah, I have a couple. I only have 5 T's in my pocket. I have a ball marker, which I've used for a long time, the same one. Fortunately, I always put a new glove on the first tee. And I count my clubs every single time before I play. So there'd be my little superstitions. Oh, yeah. Other players' superstitions. You put me into a good bit of thought there, James. Yeah. Yeah. Laurie Cantor tees it with his glove on left hand. A lot of guys only use white tees. Aaron Rye. Yeah, he uses them. Pink Castle tees. Cool. Yeah, a big one would be like tees, ball marker. Yeah, like little things like glove pouches. Yeah, I know Richard Bland tries on every glove before he goes, and he separates in between tournament practice and never again. Yeah, not too many.
Was it only so there's only one birdie in every ball?
Yep. There's one ball has a birdie. That's it. So
it's all right when you get them free.
Yeah, his caddy has to carry 18 golf balls. But yeah, sorry, Alistair Mack. Evening, gents. Trying to get a little bit more carry from my 5-wood. Is it as simple as decreasing loft? I appreciate ball flight and face angles come into play, but if speed isn't an issue, would you recommend?
So if you're low speed, then actually adding loft could get you more carry. But if you're higher speed and it's spinning a little bit too much, then yes, de-lofting will mean less spin, a little bit more ball speed, and the ball kind of stays forward a little bit more. So yeah, if you're higher speed, or if the ball's getting too high and spinning too much, then bring that flight down. If the ball's falling out the sky a little bit, adding loft will get you a bit more carry if you're at the lower end. To Tony's question, they don't do a 9-wood in the core model QI4D, but what I will do is I will hit the 7-wood minimum loft, and then I'll max the loft out, which gives it about 2.5 degree loft difference. We'll see what happens there. I can find that.
Sion Jones 55. How important is it to blend the swing weights across all the clubs in the bag?
Very important. So strange enough, a physics dean would tell me why, but driver and 6-iron are often if you're at standard length, are often very close for swing weight.
Really?
Don't know why.
Okay.
But it's been over the last 21 years, it's been very, very consistent.
I'm guessing a big part of that would be for gapping.
Well, swing, I think it'll just be to do with the dead weight and momentum and how it all matches in. I mean, for irons, we increase them, we progress them very slightly. So about 0.5 point every other club to keep them feeling the same to swing. Now, when you get into real sensitive players or someone of your level, you might find it's not linear. There's little wobbles up and down, just the slight tolerances on balance point and dead weights. Right. Which is why mine have little bits of lead tape on them, just down to 0.1 of a swing weight point. But generally, as you go down the bag, through the irons into the wedges, swing weight increases. Driver to fairways, it doesn't always do that. You often go a little lighter in fairways, actually. We often see about half a point to a point lighter. So Todd's 3 was D2.7, the driver D3.1. So they don't have to be the same. swing weight is a static measure rather than a dynamic measure. So it doesn't mean the same thing across the whole bag.
Yep. Come on, let's see it, Simon.
So 7 wood for me should go pretty high. So this one's in its minimum loft. What do you got? 90 mile an hour club speed. Okay. Let's see. Let's see how good I am.
Ooh,
oh, 94, a
quick.
bit too much. Okay, I'll try and match it to that. So
Yep.
that's 4.8 on spin, 202. That's in its minimum loft height, 114 feet, 49 land angle. So that's things coming down
And very soft.
pretty soft. And if I loft that all the way up,
Yeah. Do you have like common tendencies you'd like to see with the, like if you did max it up? So like kind of spin rate to go up certain amount per degree or anything like that?
generally,
Does it
so
depend how you
in
deliver it?
irons, it's a kind of a couple of hundred revs. It's generally somewhere around the per degree. So if you're going from a 9 to 10.5 drive, you're
Yep.
looking at about 300 to 500 revs.
All right, okay.
Generally speaking. So obviously this has closed the face in a little bit. See if I can match the speed there. And I've thinned it.
That's impressive with the
Spun
speed.
more.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell that 5.2 even with a thin.
There we go. So spins up by, this has
Yeah,
gone
I
up
can
2.5 degrees. So it's actually gone up about 700 or 800 revs.
Yep.
So with woods, where the weight sits away from the face, it disproportionately
Cushions
goes
it,
up.
yep.
So, you know, it's taken 12, 13 yards off the carry. And I mean,
Yeah,
land angle's
angle's the exact same.
not that different. That had a bit less ball speed on it. Yeah, but lots more spin.
I'll give you the thing back. The one on there, hey Todd, any tips of green reading? I have a decent
Get a
technique.
good caddy.
And roll the ball end over end quite well. They just never drop. First thing I would say is like, do you have a tendency to where you miss your putts? Are they always on the right, left, long, short? So then I think you can then go to someone that's going to give you a little bit of advice and give really good positive like feedback of your own game. Just be aware of that to start with. And is it left to right? Is it right to left? Because there's a big tendency on the way people see putts, that side of things. So that's be where I'd start. But I would always, my biggest tip, if you wanted one, would be to visualise the last third of the putt and really keep that in a mind focus and then try and visualise that going in.
And so pace control, I would say. If you're rolling it well, then if you're not consistent with your pace, then green reading's impossible. So actually just make sure that you can regularly roll at a consistent distance, or you get the stroke length the same, take a bit of hit out the stroke, because that's where you could hit 2 on the same line, one's going and one's not. So
yeah, you've got it. You've got the nail on there. There.
That's one of the things that I think is so impressive with you guys is that you look at, you know, how, like this last week, from distance, how often it's dead.
Yeah.
Whether it's chipping, just short game generally, pace control is
yeah.
super impressive. So yeah, pace control actually allows you to read greens rather than the other way around. So,
Definitely. I got to about, it was a Crow IZ.
Crows, yeah. So Chris Stamper, Todd, how much time do you spend doing club fitting, dealing in performance? Did your SM11 put them into play? Comment really mean that?
Yeah, well, I can answer the first half of the question because not quite understanding the second part, if you could comment there. But yeah, a lot. Club fitting, we do a lot. I'm always kind of checking that my club's loft and lies are correct. The club's are optimising my performance. You know, like, and I went back to it, obviously I go through vigorous testing, but if you've got to have consistencies week on week. I'm loft and lying my clubs every week, checking with the different grass types, and making sure that the clubs I'm using are actually helping me.
So how, I think you said, when you said you basically put your SM11 straight into play,
Right, okay.
did that really mean? I think that was.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So I did, but I was lucky enough to have the SM11s for like a period of time, like 2-3 days to go through all that testing of like, is it matching the numbers of my SM10s? Is it matching the things I'm expecting? How is it performing out the rough? Because those little things do make a big difference when we're trying to perform.
Yeah, so it still goes through that testing period, but it was an easier, quicker decision.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
With the different grasses is something I was checking the time. Is different grasses is something that I think, obviously in the States you see it, but you guys are, DP World Tour is global.
Good. Yeah.
And so many different conditions and grass types and humidities and things. But the grass type in particular, we don't get very much difference over here. But how much of a How much of a consideration with wedge grind or bag makeup does that take?
Massive. I think that has the biggest impact. It's the grass time in the atmosphere. So, you go to Joburg where we've just been, Kikuyu grass, so it's up pretty high. So strike point on the face can be quite high, so that can obviously deteriorate loft spin. Would that?
Yeah.
The drop
can
spin.
Kind of pop it up and
Yeah. So you that and then you obviously with the altitude you need the ball to be in the air. So some people add loft. I know a lot of people add loft to their drivers. And then it could be like links turf. You hit striking low on the face, and that can then change the way people deliver it. So I know that when I play links golf, I actually de-loft it because I want to strike. So that actually reduces spin strangely. So then I know that people change equipment, and the easiest thing they change now is the golf ball. We're fortunate we have like 15 different golf balls to choose from.
Yeah, so these guys get loads of prototypes, like kind of Pro V1.x and Pro
double
V1
dash,
left dash,
all that sort of thing. Yeah,
there's a load of Morse code on your golf
we
balls.
do vigorous testing weekly.
Polo 1928. What's the difference between the Fuji Black Ventus, the Fujikura Ventus Black 6S versus the premium version of the shaft? You mean the stock one? Ultimately, it's got Velocore in. The stock one looks like it, and actually the structure, the profile of the shaft is similar, but the call it the engine of the shaft, that Velocore plus material is what makes the aftermarket shaft what it is. It reduces overling. It's so much more stable and consistent. Gives actually a bit of smoothness to the shaft as well. Whereas the stock versions are not bad shafts. They're a lot better than they used to be, but it doesn't have the component that makes the Ventus ultimately. And if it did, they'd cost an awful lot more. So, Joey D2920 just bought a used set of Titleist 2021 T100S in Project X LZ60, and man, are they sweet. The new T100s really that much better. So the 150s would be the equivalent to the 100Ss, and I think forgiveness-wise, I've been really impressed with the stability of the 150s. I think they really feel like at impact, the head stays with the contact. You get a lot less sensation of deflection. I think. So I think they've been really impressively stable at impact. So I think you'd notice a gain in forgiveness.
Yeah.
And a little bit of height in the long irons with this latest generation as well.
Goes back to the point, technology's going on so fast.
They got about an extra, I think it's about 30 grams of tungsten heel and toe.
Wow.
So it's quite a big change actually versus 100S, it'll be even more. Because that was versus previous T150. So always improving them, but versus the 100Ss, notably more forgiveness. Right. Princeton low 2272. If I play Modus 130 SMR irons, what weight range would you recommend for 4 hybrid, Apex, U-Wood, mini driver and driver? I put everything short. The right ones.
It's an open-ending question.
So some players again will stay Modus 130s to 125 grams. So you might find some players will play like a 95 gram hybrid. 80 odd gram fairways and high 60s, low 70s gram driver, and some it'll drop off more and you end up down at 60 grams on the driver. So I can't sadly give an answer on that one, I'm afraid, other than if you're playing them shorter, you might want to err on the heavier side. But mind you, if your driver's 45 inches, that is what I would call standard. So, it's a really tough one to answer that, I'm afraid. What I'm going to do, I'm going to check, Pay No Swings, love the jumper sign, where can I get one for myself? Email us in, we can get these in singles, so if you want one, as long as you know your Peter Millar sizing, then we can get one for you. So I'm going to see if there are any Todd-specific ones that are coming through to make sure. Okay, right, we'll crack on through.
Crack on, I've got plenty.
Very generously given us time for us to see. We really are very grateful. Here's a question for you. Seeing as your partner is also a professional golfer, Olivia. When do you get to see one another?
Yeah, it surprised me way more than what anyone would expect. Like, obviously, privileged to be our own diaries, be our own boss. So she's not played very much this year so far. She played the Saudi event, and then she played one other. But she come to the Middle East with me at the start of the year. We've got 5 weeks at home together now. So actually, if you
be tired of one another,
we'll be jetting off each way. But no, we see each other surprisingly more than you'd expect, just by we can control our own schedules and that sort of thing. So probably works really well.
you ever see a kind of a menu on one of the others' diaries and go, yeah, actually, they're quite a nice one to come to?
Yeah, I definitely heard more on that side. Yeah, I fancy that one. So, but no, yeah, I've been to a few over in America, and I try to only pick the good ones.
So, Plano Swings, what are people's max drive in the chat? That's for chat one. And then Philly Central, thoughts on full bag fitting versus iron/wood/wedge fitting. Often thought that fatigue would set in on a full fitting and not give the best results. Yeah, it's something that we often would advise, you know, if you don't live too far away from us or your fitting centre, then split it across two. It's perfectly possible to do a full bag in one session. It is a fairly long session, but the one thing, if you're going to do that, if the fitter wants to take a club out of your hands, trust them, let them lead the fit, and let them, because you're going to test multiple options, or you should be testing multiple options. And part of that diagnosis is you need to see what works and doesn't work. So if you hit one and they go, give me that one back, don't say, can I just hit another one? Actually, they're doing it for a reason. But ultimately, we can try and keep it around the 100 swing mark at the top end. It is doable, but ultimately, yes, if you can split it across two, irons and wedges in one, and then woods hybrids in another, I think you probably get the best out of it. Yeah. Pay No Swing says, Philly mate, you got to get a good night's sleep and a good meal before, and you'll be raring to go for the whole fitting. There we go. I wonder where that was going from, moment. Yeah. Golf Nerd 3, what do you think of the G425 versus 430 fairway woods? Are the 430 much better, and why are the 425 Lofts half a degree stronger? Yeah, it was an interesting one with Ping. They go the 410, 425s. Historically, they've always been fairly strong, considering they're forgiving heads, shallow heads. Like they were 14 and a half 3-wood, 17 and a half 5-wood. I think because they were shallower and the principles they launched higher, that was why they went down that route. And a lot of the time, if you're adding loft, then it's closing the face a little bit, which a lot of players tended to do. I think 430 is a step up. I think it picks it up a little bit better. Certainly lighter crown. They saved 10 grams in the crown on the 430 versus 425, and it was only 2 on the driver. So lower CG, more launch, more forgiving. So yeah, I would say 430 was a step up versus 425.
I used the 430. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah. And 440 is quite low spin in comparison. So actually, for someone who's moderate spin and needs a bit of help with keeping the flight out, 430 is still a great head. Golf Nerd 3, I've switched from Ventus TR Red 5S to Diamana BB43X with the TSR2. Should I continue using the same shore fit setting? Was using C4, driver swing speed 110. Definitely maybe. I'll check the numbers, look at what numbers you're getting, have a little test out. If they're in a good window, great. If for example, if you're seeing it, popped up a little bit, going a little bit lighter, and the spin's got up a little bit, and you're losing a bit of efficiency from flight as a result, then try lofting that down a little bit. But yeah, ultimately, check the numbers out, test it out, and judge it based on the efficiency that you're seeing on the launch monitor. You can probably see a little bit from the flight as well, relative to where you're used to looking for the ball flight. If it's in a different window, then that'll give you most of the info. Do you have a preference on flight? Do you prefer to see a slightly stronger flight naturally, or do you generally like to see it up quick?
Yeah.
Or mid?
Mid. I would say mid, really. Like, I'd always try and go a little bit, probably launch mid-high, or like the window, just because I know in tournaments when a bit of pressure on, like, I always want to try and bring it down.
Got it. Yeah.
So I think if you have it too strong at the start and bring it down, you lose a bit of control.
Yeah.
So I always try and go mid-high and then bring it down to mids, and then have my window.
You mentioned on links courses you tend to get on top. Is that your default under pressure, just to get on top and drive
just
it
to make sure I get just my kind of bit of probably angst that get a strike, and kind of get a bit quick. So that's kind of how I.
And would you then club down, cover it almost to kind of neutralise that?
Yeah, kind of that can be, and sometimes it's actually to club up and just take some off it. So I actually then give it time to get some launch.
Pano Swings, is your Trackman launch one of the outside or inside one? And can you choose for a home sim? Would you choose a Foresight quad or the Trackmans? So this one is, it's the same unit, it's different. They unlock the tracking software. It's the indoor one, but we can get it unlocked for outdoor use if we take it somewhere to use. From an indoor sim point of view, if you've got Look, they're both great systems. I think ultimately, whether it's the GC Cord or the Trackman, they're both really good bits of kit. We've used Trackman for 18 years. The interface has always been a little bit cleaner, but we've always had the depth to get the ball flight with. So if you've got the depth, look, they're both great.
You probably said it, but if you have the room and the depth for Trackman, I think with the interface and the way it works, I think it's a much easier system, and you get much quicker kind of like movement around it. But I think, and a complete neutral, if you've got minimum space, then the GC, the Foresight system is really great because you can need a lot less room, can be cost effective. But I think Trackman, if you have the room, I would choose to use Trackman. I think
the size that I've always looked at, I think from a ball data point of view, you've got more ball data with the Trackman because it's tracking, we don't know, 5 meters of flight. But there have been, like I said, a strike point historically, face angle. They measure at different points relative to impact. So it's not that one's right and one's wrong. They just measure slightly differently.
Just different,
But I know some people who have said, okay, for the strike and the face angle, GC has always had a slight advantage, but for ball dynamics, it's Trackman. But they're both great bits of kit, and whichever one you go with, as long as the situation is correct for the launch monitor, i.e. Trackman depth, then you're not going to go wrong with either.
You have a great experience with
it. And that will be a good man cave, or person cave, golfer cave. Bernard Wright move, could be an estate agent. Was recently fitted into Acura TZ Tour Green M4. I can't find much out about it online. I was wondering if you could provide details of who this shaft fits and other similar shafts. So the TZ Tour Green and the red are the takeover for the TZ series. There was the 6 and 5 last year. TZ Green is kind of more like the old SE80 style. It's low torque. It's not overly tip stiff, but plays very low spin, and definitely is for. It's not a particularly tip-heavy shaft. Definitely for someone who moves it with a bit of force. We found that they have a bit more feel than we initially thought they did, but generally somebody who doesn't need a lot in the bottom end, but is a strong mover of the club. They're a stout shaft, really good for bringing spin down, really good for stable feel, but tend to play on the stronger side. And I get a similar shaft, I would say, just looking at the line. They're not a counterbalance shaft. I would say something like the New Arate or the AO2 blue, but in the stiffer flexes wouldn't be wildly dissimilar, maybe a bit more feel. The VA, the Sinister CB is a bit more counterbalance, but again, a very stable feel. I would also put in, it's kind of like the whiteboard is a bit more tip balanced, but it's that kind of stability to it, although that has a slightly stiffer tip, but it's those kind of profiles. Solderson 16, been using a face bounce putter for a while now. Feel like my long putts are pushed out to the right and the short ones are pulled left. Should I switch to a plumber's neck mid slant? Thanks. It would suggest that you're losing feel for the putter face and regulating the face. So, go somewhere you can try a few of them, see which one your start line is more consistent with, because that's the most important thing. The better the face graduation, the kind of the toe hand graduation for you, the more natural your start line is going to be repeating and online. So, but again, it's a dynamic thing. It's like that you were doing, I've done you've seen the amount of putters on the tour greens. So, and once you find one that essentially simplifies that impact position, then you're 90% of the way there. I would say.
Definitely.
Do you putter wise? What are you in putter wise now? We didn't look at the putter.
Didn't look. Yeah, this is I'm one of the new 9Rs. That's what I use with a double top line.
So found much difference with the face milling and the chain link?
Sorry, here you are.
That's the mark on the bottom that you really want. Then you're a proper player. The little T stamp on the face there, you could flog that for a lot of money.
Yeah.
So this is the chain link pattern that Osty Rollinson coming over from Odyssey. There's that face tread. Scotty's very artisanal with how he does things, but there's a bit more tech on the Scotties now.
Yeah, definitely. I found just the response off the face, I've worked hard at it, but I always found like I used the old Phantom 11, like the
Yeah,
block one for a long time, and just found as now the greens are getting firmer and faster as we get, sometimes find that with the firmer, what felt like a firmer, I've done the testing with the ball speed, all of it, and they're all the exact same. The Spider, the Jailbirds, which was remarkable, but sound. So this has definitely dampened the sound out for me, and I feel like I can. It's the happy medium, not too soft, not too firm. Yeah. So yeah, been a real delight to the addition of the bag. Yeah,
I've always liked to feel the putter come off the face. I don't like to have to hit at putts.
Yeah.
So I've always been generally better on quicker greens, but without too much face tread.
Yeah.
Interesting. But it's completely a feel thing. You go back to the old pings that had literally nothing.
Yeah,
nothing on the face at all. So we're going to get through these next 5 and then we'll call it a day because Todd's been very kind to stay with us this long. So Stephen Grant, hi gents, recently got fit into KBS Tour V stiff 110s in ZXi 7 irons, but wouldn't say I was swinging my best. Currently play Dynamic Gold S300 and worried about dropping that much weight. Tour V extra stiff ? If you're not sure about it, then that is quite a big drop. I would go back to where you got fitted and ask just to cross-reference a spec. It could take 4 or 5 hits to go, it's the right one. But the worst thing you can do is if you've got a question mark in your head is to not check it out. So no fitter should be concerned about you wanting to double check the spec because ultimately we all want to get it right as much as you do. And if you didn't think you were swinging great on the day, that it could be a half-hour check just to go back over the specs is the most valuable thing you could do because it'll either validate that what it was spot on or actually maybe that there is an alternative option. Going into the X, you're putting 10 grams more into the shaft. It might be the right option, but go back in there and check it out. And I'm sure they'll be more than happy to do so. It shouldn't take too long at all. Roddy Kelso, hi gents, I've been enjoying playing only even number irons over the winter. Thinking about a move to 3/4 set for the summer with larger gaps between irons than a full set. Any thoughts? Do you practice with partial set?
Yeah, I think your game would have come on a lot because that big the 25-yard gap generally, or the big gap between the irons. It goes back to what we were saying earlier, but would have to have been kind of like take a bit off, added a bit.
Very strategizing.
Yeah, the 3/4 bag where do you lose the clubs? Like I think you could have a really big gap. But yeah, I do mess around with it. I think it's really good to kind of have that skill and element part to it. But 3/4 bag, I'm not sure where you'd lose.
Yeah, I think there was a question that actually was sent in remotely about how do you set your kind of squad up in the bag. And I think ultimately it is just that. If you're going to drop something from the bag, it's like, well, one, do you have any particular strengths that you can afford to maybe lose a bit of armory in and still be fine? Or actually, the course you play regularly, the way you play, is it better to bottom load the set and keep the wedges and the short irons in the bag, or is it better to top load it to get you to greens in 2 and you can chip and putt and make it around with just a pitch wedge or the sand wedge? So it's going to vary maybe course to course and player to player. I would probably, for my game, I could get away with dropping a longer club. It might be a 4-iron or 3-wood, and because my weakness is my short game and I need the armory around the greens. And I'm hitting more shots in from 120 or in than I am from 180 plus. So I would probably lose one at the top end. But work out where around the course you play regularly, where you can afford to lose a couple of clubs and strategize that way. Right, we've got a couple wanting you to hit shots.
Okay, so, come on.
Richard Skinner, great show. Would love to see Todd hit some drivers.
Cool.
He's had 2 swings in the last 3 hours. I'm sure he's really looking forward to this.
Do you know a good osteopath?
Yeah, we do. We've got a good one, actually,
Cool.
Driver, strength of the game?
It's definitely improved. I would say it's getting there. I would say, I wouldn't say it's my strength, but it's definitely becoming not a weakness.
And so I'm going to put the 3rd hole at PGA National as the view on here because that's one of the views there. So when you've got a hole like this, it's a pretty narrow, it's a par 5, I think. So bunkers up the right. When you look at a hole like this, how do you kind of picture what shot? If it's not a case of right, I can just clear that and take it out of play, and you've got to make so the left-hand bunker is out of play, but the 2 up the right, for example, are in play. How do you look at the hole and what are you seeing as a shot?
Yeah, so like depending on like, I actually don't know the length of it. That's probably terrible. But if I could hit like what I would call a fairway finder, like not full power, not full tilt, and find the fairway and still reach, that would be come straight in.
So what would that be if it was sort of sub 550?
Yeah, so like as long as I can get it about, it'll carry out as long as I can it be 550 or below. Yeah, around 550 up that. And that this was the shot, that would be where it is. Whereas if it was like 600, it would be like, well, if you miss the fairway, you're never going to get there anyway.
Yeah.
So you kind of go in with a bit more ease of like, okay, I'm going to get this full like 95%. If it gets in the fairway, I'm in great shape. But I generally would be aiming slightly down the left, trying to just bleed it into the middle of the fairway.
Would that be your natural one? Is that a little bit of a bleed left to right? Do you want the tee a little lower or higher? Or is that?
Go on, we'll take it a little bit. Just twist it, right?
Up or down, yeah. Some of the base twists with it, so like down a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, perfect. Cool. If this gets over 170 ball speed, I'd be quite happy.
Oh, no, gets over 170. I'm thinking if I can get it over 150. Mind you are about half my age, so.
Not bad. Oh, a bit right. Not bad first effort. I'll take it.
Yeah.
In the right bunker?
Possibly. But that's your kind of safe shot is to.
Yeah.
And then if you were.
Come on, warm up a little bit. That was,
okay, I'll give you a couple
close.
before I get them to Larrop one.
Yeah.
Other question whilst you're doing that, Pay No Swings, what has been your best round win in a competition?
Oh.
Scenario-wise and score.
Well, both at the same time.
Okay,
yeah, 9 under at the Czech Masters when I was to win. Yeah. So they kind of go hand in hand. Luckily. Oh, that'll be straight because I towed it.
When you're on a round like that, because most of us amateurs absolutely poop our pants when we're doing well and kind of ruin a score halfway around.
Yeah.
What's your mentality when you're on a round like that? Are you thinking, right, it's green light, I'm on,
Yeah, I think like that's one thing is to not be like, I learned over a period of time, but not to be nervous because you're playing really, really well. So, okay, like I'm hitting really good shots. That I can have confidence in that rather than being like, oh, it's my best round ever.
Yeah.
Like,
don't
and
mess
going
it
the
up.
wrong way. Don't mess it up. Where actually, I was like in that situation, but it's when you're playing really well, I am playing really well. Be confident with that, and being okay. Like I'm playing well. So if things start to go wrong, I've got the ability to bring it back.
Yeah. It's not panic stations because the game's there. Yeah.
Getting there.
What was it like on that last hole then? So did you? I guess because of the score, you'd have wouldn't have been in the last couple of groups.
No, I was about 5 or 6 from the end. Yeah.
So did you kind of think that was good enough when you finished?
I knew I had a couple shot lead with one to play, and my putt just missed on the last. But I was out of it all. I was quite relaxed because I'd kept my card. I was
right.
So like for the first season, I was like, I've kept my card. If this goes
Big
in,
deal.
if I don't win, it isn't the end of the world, and it probably made it a bit easier for me.
Yeah.
Come on, we need some speed in these. Oh,
what's been the best round you've ever
no
seen
good either.
by someone else?
Oh, Roman Langasque. He shot 9 or 10 under at Marco Simone, and it was the greens were like concrete, firm, rough was really thick.
Yeah.
And it was incredible. He didn't for 15 holes. I thought he's on for 59.
Right.
He made a bogey on 50 for 14 or 15. He made a bogey on 15.
Is that the right to left down the hill?
Down the hill, and he like
tough green with big drop off. Yeah.
And he was like 8 under after 14. I was like, this is incredible.
Yeah. And are you enjoying?
I did enjoy it because I was like, that is this is remarkable. Like he landed his 3 woods and stuff on like 5-yard gaps and stuff. It was priced. I mean, I couldn't. If you asked him to do it again, I don't think he could. Oh, that was good. There we go.
You should find that one. Yeah, that's relatively straight. Yeah. So what are the stats on that one? So we got 114 club speed, 171 ball speed, 150 efficiency, 10.4 launch, 2.3 spin, 288.9 carry, 311, and face to path 0.3.
Yeah, we're getting
I'd
closer.
Be fairly happy with that.
Yeah.
Gimbal Air, my original Edel E1 was custom fit and nothing comes close to it. So when you get anything fit, whether it's driver, putter, wedges, once they work, then the trust builds with it as well. You develop a bit of essentially a bit of a relationship with it, but when they fit well, then it's great. That's why actually I don't change very often.
No.
Because once it works, it works. Pay No Swing says, Todd, if you ever get a new putter, can I have yours, even though I'm a lefty?
If you bid the right price.
Charitable donation.
Yeah.
And Richard Skinner, love it, Todd. Thanks for sharing your time and insights. Great stuff.
My pleasure. I'm getting closer now.
I would say your driver doesn't look like a particular weakness.
No, it definitely has got as an improvement. Yeah, definitely.
Very, very neutral. Did you try and be very neutral with path? That's 0.0 path.
Yeah, I think
or would you shape it more with face angle than path?
Yeah, I would be. I learned that once I get the path too big is when I lose strike.
Yeah.
So I know that I need to be quite neutral and let in a way, my aim.
Yeah.
Hit neutral shots with aim and a slight face.
Yeah, I find so. If I try and do it with path, I overdo the shot shape.
Yeah, me too.
Whereas if I keep path neutral and then just let the face manipulate. Yeah. So I've got a friend who's completely the opposite.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's got to do it with path.
Wow.
All right, so I tell you what, we're as a sign off, give it one lasso.
Okay.
As much of a lasso as your body feels
Give
capable
me, okay.
of doing.
It's got to tee up a touch.
At 7:26 in the evening.
Oh, I've been disappointed this didn't go any quicker. Left heel the lot.
Give it the
stamp.
Carl Berkshire.
I mean, it's impressive. Those long drives, I find it amazing. There we go.
Look at that, 170, 118. But most importantly, still in the fairway.
Yeah.
Still in the fairway.
I'll
Todd,
take it. Simon.
thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
It's been a real privilege, pleasure to have you as always. And thanks for doing the Christmas do the other year as well. Wish you all the luck of the world for this year. Have a great year. And thank you guys for joining us. Thanks for all the questions. I believe it's Mr. Sparrow on next week, so more of a coaching slant next week, but we'll double check the schedule to make sure. But thanks so much for coming in.
No, my pleasure.
Really appreciate
Thanks for all the
time.
great questions. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, great stuff. And we will see you next week. Have a great week.